All right. Again, we want to welcome everyone who is here in our audience this evening and those who are joining us by TV at this time. After a hearty public comment session, we do appreciate each one that was here and spoke, and we will consider that as we move forward this evening. So with that, we will have our invocation this evening. The Father Stephen Hoyt, pastor of the St. Francis of Assisi Catholic Church, is with us this evening, who will lead in our invocation, and we will follow that by the Pledge of Allegiance, and Commissioner Robbie Wilkie will lead us in that. So, Father, if you would come to the podium, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Let us pray. We stand before you, Almighty God, conscious that you are here with us, gathered in your name. Come to us, remain with us, and enlighten our hearts. Give us light and strength to know your will, to make it our own, and to live it in our lives. Guide us by your wisdom, support us by your power, for you are God, sharing our life. You desire justice for all. Enable us to uphold the rights of others. Do not allow us to be misled by ignorance or corrupted by fear or favor. Unite us to yourself in the bond of love, and keep us faithful to all that is true. As we've gathered here, may we temper justice with love, so that all our decisions may be pleasing to you and earn the reward that is promised to the good and faithful. And we ask this in your good and holy name. Amen.
Amen. Please face the flag. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, everyone. At this time, are there any amendments to our agenda this evening, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Chairman, there are two proposed amendments to the agenda this evening. Proposed item 6A, considering a resolution requesting North Carolina Department of Public Safety to reinstate inmate litter crews. And then also number 8 on your agenda, the public hearing has been canceled for this evening.
All right. All right. Hearing the recommendation of our clerk, what's the pleasure of the board in adopting our agenda this evening?
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept this evening's agenda and amendments as the board clerk has presented to us.
All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries unanimously. And the first item on our agenda this evening is the adoption, perhaps, of our Second Amendment resolution. We've handed out numerous copies here to those in our audience that are with us this evening. And again, after a public comment section, we want to say that we certainly appreciate everyone and who has come this evening our way in reference to this resolution. And again, it was so eloquently stated, and I talked with our sheriff today and wanted me to re-emphasize that it is simply a resolution in which we're designating Caldwell County as a Second Amendment sanctuary. We're not changing any laws. Nobody's going to be allowed to do anything that they wasn't able to do before we adopt this resolution, if you will, in breaking the law or carrying a firearm anywhere that you're not allowed to currently carry that firearm. And so with that, I will open up the request in adopting this resolution this evening or ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'm proud and excited, and on behalf of every veteran who have fought wars and died in this country for this, our Constitution, I make a motion that the Caldwell County Board of Commissioners pass the resolution declaring Caldwell County a Second Amendment sanctuary county.
All right, and with that motion, any other discussion or comment? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. And then that carries unanimously. So again, we are declaring ourselves as a Second Amendment sanctuary. All right, and with that, we've got a hearty audience here. We'll take a small recess of about 5 minutes to allow anybody who would like to leave that opportunity, and we'll reconvene in 5 minutes.
I wouldn't mind you being a little higher, maybe.
All right, again, we're going to call ourselves into session, and appreciate those of you that are staying with us for the remainder of our meeting. So if you will come to order, and we thank you for that. And the next item on our agenda is a resolution in which we're requesting the North Carolina Department of Public Safety to reinstate some inmates' opportunity to help us collect litter along our county highways. And many of you out there know that our roads have become a virtual trash dump, if you will. And we're seeking a little help from our state to help us in picking up some of this litter on some of our highways. And we have spoken to some folks that advise that our course of action to let our desires to be known with the state would be to adopt a resolution which basically says the Caldwell County Board of Commissioners hereby expresses its desire that the North Carolina General Assembly enact legislation to direct the North Carolina Department of Public Safety to reinstate those inmate litter crews. So with that being read, I'll entertain a motion that we adopt this evening.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adopt the resolution requesting the North Carolina Department of Public Safety to reinstate the inmate litter crews.
All right, any other discussion or comment? With that, I'll call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries unanimously. And then on our agenda this evening is our recognition of retirees, and the first one is Lieutenant David Russell Bolick of the Caldwell County Sheriff's Office. Lieutenant Bolick, if you will come up. Sheriff or Major, you guys have a going to go get the sheriff, all right?
There he is.
There he is. He heard his name.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I didn't get a chance to present this because we wanted to make sure it took a little while to put together, as you can see. Oh, wow. Russell served since been serving since 1993. Citizens, and he's done a fantastic job. We're going to miss him, and I wish him the best, and hope he spends a lot of time with his family. Yes, sir. This says,
All right, so come on up, Lieutenant. We're coming around. We're slow. But the rest of the commissioners are coming as well.
Sheriff, I'm not sure what happened. He makes actually got a little hair on his head. That's something y'all rest
But on behalf of the Caldwell County Commissioners and the employees of Caldwell County, we'll present you with this parting token. In retirement, it's always good to be able to maybe look at a clock occasionally, but don't have to keep up with it as much anymore. But it simply says Lieutenant Russell Bolick for the Patrol Shift Supervisor, the years of 1994 to 2019. So we want to thank you again for your service and present this to you.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You gotta get your picture with all these mugs. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. We'll give you an opportunity to speak, so go ahead and say something you want to. I know you've prepared a speech. No, she's not here this evening.
Thank you.
So, you speak.
I will.
Give you a chance to say something.
Okay. I'm not very good at this, but I would like to say thank you for everybody being here. I've had a lot of good years at the Sheriff's Department, a lot of good years serving the citizens of Caldwell County. And I've got wonderful memories that I will cherish for the rest of my life. And I would like to just thank everybody here for allowing me to serve you. It was truly an honor for me and my family to serve the citizens of Caldwell County. And thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, next is presentation scheduled for this evening, and the first of those is Blue Ridge Community Action, Miss Mary Wright. Welcome, Miss Wright.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for allowing me to make this presentation. Again, I'm Mary Wright with Blue Ridge Community Action. Blue Ridge Community Action is a nonprofit agency that provides services in Burke and Caldwell counties, and we've done so since 1965. Services provided include weatherization, Head Start, child daycare. We have some rental units that we rent out to low-income families in the county. We do Meals on Wheels, congregate nutrition, the Senior Community Service Employment Program, and the Foster Grandparent Program. Recently, our service area has been expanded to include Rutherford, Cleveland, McDowell, Mecklenburg, Gaston, Union, and Stanley counties. Blue Ridge Community Action intends to apply for funding through the Department of Health and Human Service, Office of Economic Opportunity. This grant is a continuation grant, and Blue Ridge has operated this grant for several years. The purpose of this grant is to help low-income families achieve self-sufficiency by improving the social and economic well-being of families. This grant application is due to OEO on February the 14th. The grant period is July 1, 2020 through June 30th, 2021, and the service area is Burke, Caldwell, and Rutherford counties. The funding level is $490,821. Of the grant amount, $169,615 is allocated to Caldwell County. The Office of Economic Opportunity allocates funding based on the number of persons in poverty in the county. We're proposing to have two components to this grant application. One is information and referral. Through the information and referral program, we will conduct intake, assessment, eligibility, and referral, and assure that 150 low-income families receive the services that they are entitled to receive. A lot of times we find that people are eligible for services, they just don't know how to hook up or get access to the resources. 53 families will be served out of the 150 in Caldwell County. The second component is our case management program. The case management program is a comprehensive case management assistance to families that are ready to move out of poverty. Through that intensive case management, we will provide job placement, any type of training or assistance that's needing. We will help them find better employment and do whatever we need to do to help that family become self-sufficient and moved off the public assistance payrolls. Through this program, we're hoping to move 5 families by June 30th, 2021 out of poverty. The requirement for submission of this grant application is that the county commissioners formally acknowledge that the county has received a copy of the grant. This grant has no budgetary effects on the county, and there's no local funding that is required.
All right. And with that, I just want to appreciate the opportunity to review the grant. and I did go through there, and I had just a few questions for you that I hope you could possibly answer this evening. But I noticed that in the providing of 40 families a comprehensive case management service to assist them, you folks had broke that down as to 10 in Burke County, 10 in Caldwell, and 20 in Rutherford County. And I just wondered what the difference was, why they weren't equally divided along the 3 counties.
Well, that has changed. We completed that application, or we were required to complete the application and submit it. So we completed that application in late November. Since then, we've had a series of public hearings in Burke County, Caldwell County, and Rutherford County, and those numbers have since changed. So with the case management program, we will be serving 14 families for Caldwell County.
Okay. All right. And then I noticed on, I guess this is about page 5 or 6, before the application itself starts, but Blue Ridge Community Services Block Grant employs community service workers 2, 1 case manager, 2 part-time. I guess my question there is does this grant fund those positions as well, or is that separate and outside of the grant funding?
That's a part of the grant funding.
It is a part of the grant funding, so
Yes.
personnel will be funded to administer the program, which is fine. I
Yes.
just wanted to clarify that for my own self.
Yes.
And on page 17 of 46 in the grant, and I just quickly will say, we're identifying homeless as those target individuals in our county, but it doesn't say how many homeless folks are in Caldwell County. Do you know?
No, when we did the grant, we did not know. I know that there is an annual point of time count that is done in each one of our counties, and I have not received that report.
Yes, ma'am. All right.
I tell you, I've got a question too about, I think we're losing board members that we're supposed to appoint. We've had a heck of a time trying to get board members appointed, and there's a John Greer on here that he just like disappeared. We used to have an extra one, and now he's nowhere to be found. So what's going on? How do you select the board members, and what's happened? Are we losing board members?
There was a
Do you just pick where you want them to go, or how does that work?
Our board is comprised of target area, community, and you have a board member that was seated recently at our board meeting.
Yeah, but we were supposed to appoint another one back last fall, and then all of a sudden, it's gone.
Well, I guess those numbers, and I quickly done the math, but it's 4 from Caldwell, 4 from Rutherford County, and then there are 7 board members from Burke County on your board. So I guess our question would be, how do we get more board members on there so there's an equity since we're all joined in this thing together?
I recommend you contact Ms. Stephanie Ashley, who is our executive director. That is beyond my level.
Okay.
Well, I'm just saying that, we had a guy, and then he just, all of a sudden, they decided to give him to Rutherford County. So, I just don't know what's going on here.
So what is your position, Ms. Wright, with this?
I am the director of the Community Service Department.
Okay.
So I'm just a department director.
Gotcha.
Questions about our board and how they're elected should be directed to our executive director. And her name is Stephanie Ashley.
Okay.
You had made a comment, there was a certain amount of money that was allocated for Caldwell in that 400 and some thousand. What was that dollar amount again?
$169,615.
And part of this could be for administration, not necessarily, is that whole 169,000 going to be to help the clients?
That will include the cost of the staff,
Right.
operating the program,
whole
and
thing.
direct services to clients.
I guess I've got a little, I've asked quite a few agencies around about the Blue Ridge Community Action, and can't find anybody yet that can tell me they're actually utilizing your services. I think it's probably happening, but it's happening directly, and maybe some of these agencies aren't really involved in it, like DSS. So I'm the chairman of the DSS board, and I can't find any record of where DSS is actually directly receiving any kind of funds from you guys. There may be some referrals.
Right. They receive referrals. We do have cross referrals from DSS to Blue Ridge and Blue Ridge to Department of Social Services, but we don't allocate funds to different agencies.
Right. Do you know, off the top of your head, do you know how many citizens you're currently serving here in Caldwell County?
No, I do not. However, you can go to our website and access our annual report, and that the demographics.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of confidence in that. I've looked at that, so.
Contact Stephanie Ashley,
Yep.
who is our executive director.
Okay.
Anything that is in our annual report, we can back it up with numbers and documentation.
I think you've done an excellent job of
the
presenting
clients that
what
we've
you're
served.
presenting, and I appreciate you coming, and you've answered some of the questions just in your presentation that I know I had, so
Thank
appreciate you doing that. You've done a really good job with that, and
Yeah, and
appreciate what you guys do. It's not that I'm trying to be hard to get along with, because I'm all about trying to help you help somebody else. That's not what it is, but I do have some concerns about just the organization as a whole and where's that money being spent. Now, the good news is this is not costing us anything. It's just, I guess it's giving you the authorization to apply for this particular grant, correct?
Yes.
Stan, do we put any money directly in with this, or how?
I think it's around $13,000 for Meals on Wheels, 13, something like that.
Right. That's the
Correct.
county match that's required for our home delivered meals program or our Meals on Wheels program.
Do you bid that out every year, or how do you do the bidding on the Meals for Wheels? I had somebody come to me and complain to me because they never could get in to bid. It was Walter Moore, so it was, and he had a big service, and he never
You had
could
it for a
get in.
while.
Back, I didn't know if it's
that may
bid
be
out.
above
or-
your level too as well. It sounds like we had the wrong person come tonight. I'm not taking anything away from you, but I was expecting a lot of answers that sounds like you're not going to be able to answer for us. Because on the very first page of this budget, the agency total budget is $8,402,418. So I'd have a question about who audits this group, where those
That's one
funds
of my
are going.
questions, actually, yeah.
But and again, we don't mean to sound like you've come into a buzzsaw, but we had these questions in August, September of last year, and we've had two opportunities, I think, for Blue Ridge Community Action to
never
come,
showed
and
up.
they never came. And so, as being a steward
first
of our taxpayer money, we just have questions about it, and maybe we need to ask this executive director to come in.
Mr. Chairman, I
at
make a
some
motion
point.
that we table this till the next meeting, till we can get some answers on some of this stuff.
Yeah, and I think the
grant's
problem with
due
this
14th.
particular issue is you folks have a February 14th deadline you're trying to meet.
Yes, the requirement is that for the Community Services Block Grant is that the county commissioners acknowledge that they've received the grant application.
So
Okay.
we don't have to
Now-
acknowledge any questions or anything about it. We just,
No.
again, and I've seen that in your first pages of our clerk to the board, and he notarized it where we received this document actually on December the 20th. So
What I suggest that you do is formulate questions and contact our executive director and share those concerns that you have and request a meeting with her.
Well, they've been on the
I think we
agenda
have.
twice, and they ain't showed up yet, so, I mean,
Like I
that's
said,
sort
you're the
of why
first one to
you're
be
at.
here.
And we applaud your effort in being here.
And thank you for being here, because honestly,
We was wondering if this place really exists.
we really did.
So I guess with that,
So what are we voting on? Just the fact that we've
that
got.
we've received this
Did you-
document so they can go forward and apply for their grant funding, and then they can spend the money where they want to and how they want to. We won't really have any say in it.
And whether we do it or not, they're still going to apply for the grant, correct?
I'd say so, because we've received the document, and that
Yeah.
was duly notarized and sent back by our clerk on the December the 20th, when we each one
That's your
received
understanding,
this
Thomas?
document.
Yes, yeah.
So we really don't have a motion. It was just a presentation that she's
Yeah.
making tonight. We don't have anything, and I appreciate you coming, Ms. Wright, and answering a few of our questions. And I guess we could serve due notice back to the executive director that before we fund any more going forward, we've got a few questions that'll have to be answered. And
I will share that with her.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
you. Again, I'm just a department director. but
Right.
I will share
You did a very good job.
I will
Yeah.
share your concerns with our executive director, and I will encourage her to reach out to you so that those questions can be answered.
Yeah, and again, I know you didn't write this grant, perhaps, and they did, but I took exception to several of the statements in this grant talking about the low skill levels of our citizens, our fact that we have a high graduation rate that is not being attained, that we have a lot of folks that have not graduated high school, and then that we have a lot of low-paying jobs in our county when we have strived for years to get our median income up, and I think we're coming a long way on that. So I just take exception to some of these descriptions of our county to sway the state in sending some money over here. And we appreciate the state sending all the money. We wish they'd send plenty more. But I don't want us to be painted as, some indigent county that's just barely scraping by.
And Ms. Wright, I think the issue is that this looks like a kind of a standardized grant application, and the verbiage seems to be, whatever you need to say to try to get the grant, when if you really did the research on the county, you would find out that it's not, the data that you put in the grant application is not accurate to what it is today. If you'd have looked at us in 2008, 2009, absolutely. But if you look at the data today, from unemployment rate to the median income, I mean, it's all grown. So I have a little heartburn with some of the stuff that's in the application not being maybe outdated.
So,
but I guess that's.
And you can carry those concerns back for us. How's that? But we do appreciate you coming this evening. Anybody else got anything? Or?
Thank you for coming.
All right.
Thank you so much. And appreciate you being here.
And appreciate you having to stay such a long time this evening. So, all right.
Have a safe trip home.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is our tax liens 2020 Board of Equalization and Review. Mr. Monty Woods, our tax assessor. Did you get dinner this evening before we?
Not yet.
Oh, me either.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I have two items for your approval tonight. The first, in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 105-369, we are reporting the number of accounts and dollar amounts of unpaid taxes that are liens on real property for 2019 only. Our totals, as revised today from your packet, the number of outstanding accounts are 5,851. The dollar amount outstanding totals today $2,607,000.21. An alphabetical listing of these accounts are available in the county tax office. I come before the board tonight to report this information and ask for the authority to advertise the 2019 real property tax liens.
All right, and with the recommendation of our tax assessor this evening, I'll make that in the form of a motion to advertise and give him due authority to get that started. And any other discussion or comment? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that carries unanimously. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The second item for your approval tonight is in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 105-322A, the appointment of the Board of Equalization Review for 2020. Our office submitted the names in your packet, which you received last week. When I spoke with Thomas, I can read the names, but if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer those.
All right, I trust everyone's had an opportunity to review that. And do we need him to read the names, or is everybody good? All right, so I'll entertain a motion to approve those for the Board of Equalization and Review.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve the 2020 Board of Equalization as presented.
All right, any other discussion or comment? express our thanks and their willingness to serve on that board. I will say that before I call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries unanimously. So thank you again.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes,
Good evening.
sir. All right, next is items for decision. And we have with us here this evening our Library Board Chair, Ms. Christine Helton. And she is here to make a recommendation for our interim library director.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
My name is Christine Helton. I'm the chair of the library board. As you know, our current library director is leaving us as of February 11th. Ms. Mason is moving on to a different county. At our last library board meeting on the 23rd, we discussed the different staff members who are eligible to fill this position and who are interested in this position, and we only came up with one candidate. Ms. Leslie Griffin is the candidate we would like to present for you tonight. She has the required certifications to keep our state funding if our search for library director takes longer than expected. She has several years of experience under her belt with our county and multiple counties. As a board, we decided that this would be the best person for our interim director position. So I would like for y'all to accept her as that position tonight. And she is here if you have questions.
All right, good evening. You won't come up and say anything since you're going to take the helm?
Who was that other lady you were talking about, that Leslie Mason, Leslie? Who was that, you said?
Leslie Mason's our current library director.
Oh, I'm just picking. I was trying to say we done forgot about her, you know? I'm just kidding.
Hi, I'm Leslie Griffin. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, gentlemen. I have been working in Caldwell County Public Library for about 2.5 years now as manager there. I love the county, love the library, done some good work, and I would like the opportunity to provide continuity while you guys go and find us an absolutely fantastic candidate for the director, but to provide that stability for the staff, for the community, and really for you guys too. So no problems. That's what we want. No problems.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
any questions that you have for me, I will be happy to answer.
I guess, does she assume this responsibility after this meeting, tonight, tomorrow?
I believe it said effective immediately. in
Yes,
the
sir.
Recommendation.
You probably need to
Oh, no.
You can make it effective immediately for the 10th, next Monday, which is
Well,
Leslie.
I tell you what, I mean, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I feel like that, and if Leslie's willing to do that, it'd be really good if you could spend a little time with her for
Absolutely.
at least a week or so, 3 days, 4 days a week to kind of catch her up on where we are before you
Well,
just.
you work there now, don't you?
We work
So,
together.
I'm
She
sure
may not know where, she may not know from a director standpoint what's going on.
I'm here till February 11th. That's my last day.
Okay.
So we actually have several days. We've already been working on
Perfect.
a transition.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Or I could go now. It's
No.
You don't get off that easy.
All right. So we've got a recommendation from the library board. So do I hear a motion that we appoint Ms. Griffin?
Mr. Chair, I had an opportunity to meet Ms. Griffin, and I think the library will be in good hands as we do search for that person that's going to serve on as our library director in the future, and I think she'll do a good job. So I would make a motion that we make her the interim library director effective February 11th. Is that what we want to do?
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Will.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. And that motion carries. So we thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Now, do you have another presentation or?
I do. If Miss Mason would come up.
I almost lost my job today.
Yeah, almost got
fired.
You almost got fired there,
I
didn't you?
did.
No, that wouldn't look
The only
good on the
person
new
gets
job.
fired on their last meeting.
That wouldn't look good on the new job.
No, it would not.
We got you a little something. This is on behalf from the library board, on behalf of you making us an award-winning library. For you who do not know, Ms. Mason has won us a national award for our library, for our Black History Month. And she has started a lot of good programs that Ms. Griffin is going to continue on in the future, and we're going to miss her greatly.
Thank you very much. This is really touching, and I have to say, the outpouring of support from the community over the past few days has really been overwhelming. Caldwell County is an amazing place. It is full of amazing people. We have a fantastic community. I was very blessed to be selected to come here. I tell Donnie Potter all the time it's his fault. I will never forget that interview. About halfway through, I thought, man, I really want this job. I interviewed, and then I was like, no, this is it. Caldwell County will always be important, will always be special, and I am really looking forward to seeing all of the great things that will happen as the county continues to grow and move forward. So thank each and every one of you. It really means a lot to me. I've learned so much and grown so much, and I can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie.
With that, we'll move to our consent agenda this evening. Our county manager, Mr. Stan Kaiser.
About the bookmobile. Did we do that?
Oh, I didn't see that.
It's not on there, isn't it?
No, it's on the agenda.
It's on the abstract sheet for her motion.
Did we make the motion?
No, not for the bookmobile.
I think we need to make the motion for the bookmobile. Christine, motion for the bookmobile.
County had released an ambulance for us to be transported to a bookmobile. At this time, we would like to re-release that for y'all to sell or do whatever you'd like to with it. Between finding a new director and hopefully opening a southern branch soon, we'd just like to table that. We don't want that ambulance to sit unused for another year, becoming dilapidated. Sorry. So we were just going to re-release that to the county if y'all would like that back to sell.
The library board just didn't feel like this was a good time with losing the library director and also opening the new location in the southern branch. The library director is pretty much going to have their hands full for doing that, and possibly our interim director will have her hands full in doing that, depending on how fast this process moves. But we would say that we'd like to reserve that from the library board as an option in the future if one of the used ambulance comes available. We just don't feel like right now is the time for that.
Okay.
All right, so do we have to have that in a motion to bring that from one county entity back to another county entity?
I believe there was a motion.
There is a motion.
To release it.
Yeah, to release it back to the...
I'll make the motion that we do that.
All right, any other discussion or comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion carries as well, so thank you.
All right, thank you.
And thank you for keeping me straight. So does that bring us to our consent agenda, Mr. Kaiser?
Correct, it does.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We ask tonight for your approval of the minutes from the January 6, 2020 meeting. Budget revision, the Sheriff's Department, $12,000 plus trade-in of a vehicle. This is to be paid with asset seizure funds. Your approval of additional Health Department funding from the state of $26,000. Your approval of updated vehicle, email, internet, and social media policy for employees. Budget revision, the Health Department, additional grants of $383.85. And lastly, a budget revision, the Hurricane Florence Recovery Funds reimbursement of $13,719.20.
All right, hearing the recommendation of our manager, I'll make a motion that we adopt this evening's consent agenda and ask if there's any other comment or discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries as well. And next, we have on our agenda this evening to enter into a closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3 and North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A5 to discuss attorney-client privilege information and real property options. So with that, what's the pleasure of the board in entering into that closed session this evening?
Make a motion, we go into closed session.
And any other discussion? I will say we don't expect a decision out of that meeting this evening for those that may be hanging around. So it's just a meeting with our attorney. And so with that, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries. And again, thank you everyone for being here this evening. And we appreciate all those who have tuned in by TV and hope that you have a good evening. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, depending on what you decide, I may be asking you to take some action when we come out.
Okay.
Just depends on what you decide.
All right. Depends on what we decide.